I've got a nice little rosé.
You know what? I feel like summer is so perfect for rosés, you know? Her last name is Rose.
I know.
And it's a rosé.
Rose.
For the movie, I didn't even think of that.
Emily
Perfect.
Rosé wine.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to Spooky Sips, where we put our love of horror movies into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Ivette, here with my co-hosts, Laura and Brianna. And today, we have a special guest joining us, Reverend Trace Browning.
Hello, nice to be here.
And he's a father in more than one way because he is our father, Laura and I. He's our dad. And for Ivette, it's her father-in-law.
Yeah.
Hello, Trace.
Wow, a triple father. Hello, nice to be here.
All right. So we decided to watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And part of why we did is because we realized we hadn't really done an exorcism movie. And so we were talking about it. And I know that this is one of Trace's like top favorites. So that's why we decided on this. So, but before we get into the movie, we'll get to know Trace a little bit.
Okay.
Well, again, welcome. Just to get things rolling on spooky movie topics, we are curious, do you have a favorite movie? Or is there like a movie that is just really memorable to you or one that you really enjoy?
A favorite, like, scary movie?
Yeah, scary movie.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow it down because when I was young, growing up in the 60s, sometimes on TV they'd play like the old Frankenstein or Dracula or Mummy movies, and I always really enjoyed those.
Classic.
In retrospect, sometimes they're a little campy, but they weren't intending to be that. But I love those, and then also the not quite the same, but like the monster movies, like the Godzilla movies.
Oh.
I just love the Godzilla movies. That they would terrorize a town and frighten people, and so those were some of my favorite scary movies growing up. But then later, like seeing Jaws for the first time, and this is its 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
I mean, good heavens. I mean, that was so scary. People would think twice about going in the swimming pool,
Yes.
in Utah because Jaws was so scary.
It created a whole, we talked about that on our Jaws episode. It created a whole, I'm now, of course, already forgetting the word for it, but a whole fear that never was a fear before that movie.
Yeah.
Of sharks, because you are more likely to get struck by lightning than sharks, or like attacked by a shark.
Yes. And then, later then I started liking more suspenseful and some of the new horror like The Witch or Midsummer that are kind of disturbing and they're different. There may be some gore, but not always. And so, yeah, there's a lot I really like and across a few genres.
That's it.
Alfred Hitchcock movies. I always liked. I always liked and still like his.
You bring up some interesting ones because I don't think we've done many. I don't think we've ever done like a mummy kind of spooky.
We haven't.
No, that's true. We don't do that many kind of monster.
Maybe we need to
movies.
throw some of those in there.
We need to add that to the rotation, I think.
Yes.
And then while not a scary movie per se, but a ghost movie, is Ghostbusters one of my favorite movies of all time.
It is such a good movie. It's like an institution,
It is
so quotable.
It is so quotable, and we played it so many times. I could probably speak along with all the lines in the movie.
I mean, we saw that so many times growing up. Like, we wore that VHS out.
We did.
Totally. So then, do you have a least favorite scary movie, or is there like a scary movie that people talk about that you're just like, I'm not into it?
I don't really like the slasher, the overly gory ones. Not my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, the other one I forgot that I really liked, but your mom and I, we chose to watch it during the day, on VHS was Poltergeist.
Oh,
That had such a reputation for being so scary. I thought, I'm not watching this at night. So I watched that one during the day.
You know what? We did that one and it holds up. Like that is
fun.
That is like a classic in the horror genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about some of the movies you watched as a kid. Do you remember your first scary movie that you saw?
Yes. So growing up in Utah, we just had a few channels, and I think it was Friday night, there was something called Nightmare Theater, and they would play, came on like at 10:30 at night. And whenever would have sleepovers at other kids' house, that was the thing, is to watch Nightmare Theater. And they'd play some of the old classics. But then I remember once I was young, maybe 7 years old, and I'm pretty sure it was Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock movie that was playing on TV. And oh my gosh, that's the scene, a few of the classic scenes where the woman turns around in the rocking chair and you see this old, decrepit, dried out woman. And then the shower scene, that was scary.
And the music in that one makes it so much scarier. Like,
yeah. But that's the first one that I really remember being really scared at.
What a classic first scary.
I know.
I know. Yeah.
Mine was Chucky.
Oh, nice.
Which I guess is now a classic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, that Chucky was fun to rewatch. That was
it really
was a fun one.
It really was.
Have we all talked about our first favorite scary movies before?
I don't know if we have. Yeah, I just remember that was the first one that I saw was Chucky. Or Child's Play. Sorry, it's called Child.
No, I forget that it doesn't have Chucky in the name.
I know.
Mine was, and I snuck it. So, Father, close your ears. I snuck watch it when we were kids. I went over to my one friend's house and we watched Arachnophobia. And that I was so scared to shower.
Oh, wait. We've talked about this. We talked about arachnophobia before.
Yes. That was my first scary movie that I saw was Arachnophobia.
Yes.
Yeah. Terrifying.
That's just life altering.
No,
No,
that shower scene made me. I'm still scared.
We need to do it someday.
Yes.
No, that was kind of like with spiders, what Jaws was to sharks.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah. Well, no, when I was a kid, we loved going to our local library. And I guess they just don't care when you're going to a library, what the rating of a movie is. So we would look for scary movies there to check out because it was from the library. But they were all the most random. I remember watching one that was a really scary tooth fairy theme. It was what if the tooth fairy was evil?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
There was just so I watched a lot of trash horror movies.
All right.
But they were fun.
Amazing. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Love it.
Okay, next question, and this doesn't have to be related to a scary movie, but just in general, what would you say is your favorite beverage to sip on? It can be something that has alcohol or something that does not.
Well, every day I sip on coffee in the morning and afternoon. Mm-hmm. So that's while I'm doing something, having breakfast or just sitting, that's my favorite beverage. And then in the evenings, I like wine. So I have a nice glass of Rosé today. And then depending on the season, I like whiskey or bourbon on the rocks. In the summer, I go to a lot of gin and tonics because it's a great summer drink. So I don't have every once in a while I'll try some other ones, but those are my main ones.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
I remember you were big into the Palomas last year.
The Palomas
big into those.
with the squirt and tequila and some lime.
Oh,
so yes.
So good.
So good.
Yeah, I did those last year a lot.
Yes.
I'll have to pair that with something, honestly.
Yes.
Oh, well.
Okay, and then last question is, do you have a favorite genre of scary movie? So clearly it wouldn't be slasher, but things like ghosty or monster or psychological.
I like kind of psychological ones that have suspense, ones where it's a slow reveal of what's going on. So like Hereditary, where creepy things are happening, but you don't really get the full impact until the end, so it's not just jump scares, though it has some of those too. But yeah, I like ones that psychologically kind of bring you along and you can think about it and you wonder about it. Those are, I think, typically my favorites.
Those are great.
Nice. All right. Well, we get into it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess we should say, because if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know what it means to be a reverend.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's.
So Trace, just give us a very quick overview of who are you? What do you do?
Okay. So I'm an Episcopal priest, and each denomination has their own way that they ordain someone to be a pastor, or like in the Catholic or the Episcopal Church, they're ordained a priest. So some people refer to me as a pastor. In the Episcopal tradition, most people call me a priest. So, and also in the Catholic and Episcopal tradition, a lot of people will call their priest father. So some people call me Father Browning, Father Trace. And in my tradition, it requires that you have a bachelor's degree first, and then you go to seminary, which is a 3-year master's program. And so most clergy in the Episcopal Church, its priests, have a Master's of Divinity, an MDiv. And so you have to have the academic training, and then the church, there's a process, and the church ordains you, and that's when you finally become a priest in the church. And that allows so the priest can preside over all the worship services, in our case, celebrate communion, do baptisms, weddings, do blessings, things like that. So,
plus Master of Divinity just sounds cool.
Like
MDiv. I know an MDiv.
An MDiv. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a Master of Divinity.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it sounds pretty impressive.
And academically, it is pretty. It's a lot of work. So, and then it's the academics. Then you do things like you work for a summer as a chaplain in a hospital. So you do pastoral care, work with people who are chronically ill, the sick, the dying. So yeah, you get a lot of hands-on education as well, not just the academic.
Yeah.
The academic is church history, Bible, theology, all that stuff.
Cool.
I'm always interested in how closely sometimes it seems that our jobs are, just with a lot of the psychology and the support and the counseling and just caring for people.
Right.
Totally.
Oh, different, obviously, but.
Yeah. And how you go into it, you have to be, and you need academics, but you also need experience, and then just trust your intuition and your gut some, and you have to listen a lot. Yeah, no, there's a lot of similarities.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like we could not have a more perfect pairing for this movie than having a psychologist and a priest.
We brought in the experts.
Break this down for us. We're going to have to debate. Yes. Brianna and I will be here for fun.
Here for the laughs.
Well, and I'm also thinking some of this stuff, like with mental illness or psychological conditions or religious things, some of those you can't prove scientifically. You diagnose. I mean, and there's tests, for autism or different things, and say, oh, here's what you're suffering from, or depression. If you answer in a certain way to certain questions, but it's not like you do blood work and then you say, oh, you're depressed, or things like matters of faith and belief. It's not always scientifically provable, but you have to discern it and explore it, and it's a different way of measuring it.
It is.
No, totally. It's a little bit more subjective, and it can change sometimes too.
Yeah.
So it's very similar.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll just get into it because like to set the scene, it's a young college-aged girl, Emily Rose, that goes off to college. I think she's 19. And she starts having some issues. And then we know from the beginning that she has died. And the movie is actually a really interesting movie for the horror genre because it's like a court
Yeah, but it's like a
drama.
drama.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Like it's a lot of the movie is in the courtroom, or seeing the behind the scenes for the attorney. But then you do also see the actual what went down with Emily. So like,
Right.
yeah, it's super interesting. So yeah, we'll just get into it because I think isn't that how it opens? That they are at the house.
It opens before you even see anything.
Mhm.
You just hear, and I feel like we just talked about this with Midsummer because the actress, Florence Pugh did such a great, amazing scream, rivaled by this one.
Yes.
I would say we just hear this creepy screaming, panting, and like creepy undertone music, and it just like freaks you out right from the
Like
get-go.
your heart rate jumps from the get-go.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we see a man at the door. There's a man at the door of a little farmhouse, and there's a wasp nest. Which, I feel like if you're seeing Exorcism of Emily Rose, you've probably seen The Exorcist.
Right.
Like, have we all
Yeah.
seen The Exorcist?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So having like flies,
Right.
wasps, things,
Always.
you're always like, oh no, it's bad.
And
Yeah.
there's just something creepy about farmhouses in the fog.
Oh no,
You know,
yeah.
like-
No, I mean it hits all the boxes.
It
You're
does.
like,
for a
oh,
spooky
no.
setup.
Oh no.
So yeah, we learned the dude is the medical examiner,
Mm-hmm.
and he just walks by this totally distraught family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are not okay.
Yeah.
So you're just like instantly knowing something went down. But then you see the priest leaves, the cops leave, and then you see these like gashes
Mm-hmm.
in the wall, but you don't see what's in the room yet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it at this point where he says like, oh, I can't say it was natural causes?
Yes. Yeah. He
or
he
something
goes and
like to
tells
the family.
parents.
Mhm.
Mhm. Which is just really like eerie
Oh no, yeah. It's
because we haven't seen anything yet, so we're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've all talked about this before, but like in horror movies, again, not showing is so much more effective. Like,
Yes.
don't show me anything
Mhm.
for a minute because that's what's going to make it like set the scene, make it
Yep.
eerie. You know. Mm-hmm.
I'm also just now noticing that I feel like the color on Emily's wall, because we learned it was Emily's bedroom that had all the scratches, it kind of matches the color of your walls, Brianna.
Yeah, it sure does.
Oh,
You know,
good.
I've got that nice red.
Scratch mark.
If you're not watching this but you're listening, it's the color of our logo, like that red on
Yeah,
our
it is
logo,
honestly.
which I did not plan. Like that didn't happen
Mhm.
intentionally. Yes, we just like this color. So.
If you could just like put some scratches in, like
Right, I
behind-
could do that. Yeah,
yeah. Colin Penny.
Penny, come on.
But I also liked the kind of, I feel like this was like an homage to the original Exorcism. The color underneath the scratches was like that green.
Green.
That to me kind of reminded me of like the puke from the original
Yeah.
Exorcism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Side note, we need to talk about, because we've talked about our Halloween costumes on here in the past.
About the
Mhm.
moms.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll insert a photo into this. But that was my
Because
favorite.
When was this, Papa Joe?
It was like, I think like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe
2-3 years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I dressed up as an exorcist, which was easy to do.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
mom dressed up as like Linda Blair she got split pea soup. Put it on her t-shirt. It was disgusting.
Yeah,
It
we'll
was
share the
horrific.
photo
It
because
was
you guys,
gross.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It was so good.
You guys like stole the show
It
that
was
night.
so
Like
good.
it was incredible
Yeah.
and disgusting.
It was both of those things.
Okay, but yeah, then we learn the priest is on trial.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we meet Laura Linney, who I just love as an actress.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Her and the actress that played Emily Rose were so good.
Oh
So good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I love the setup because I feel like you watch these horror movies and there is that like degree where it's like, what if like you had to enter real life now? Like what if a cop showed up? You know,
Exactly.
what like it's like what would happen if now you had to enter this, you know, into the courtroom? And I love that that's what this tackled. Or it's like,
I
let's
agree.
have this the courtroom scene, but now we're gonna flash back to the exorcism. Like it was such a fun setup that
Yes.
I haven't seen done very much.
And it was done so well because like it was so believable that this was happening
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
from everyone's side.
We can talk about it a little more, but it is not like a complete retelling, but it is based on a real story.
Mhm.
So there was actually a priest, and actually her family was also tried.
Yeah.
So this trial did happen in real life.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But we get the idea really quickly that what's Laura Lindley? I don't remember.
Erin.
Okay, we get the sense that like she's cutthroat. She is on her way up. Like she just got this amazing trial that she won, and like she is business.
Mm-hmm.
So like
She wants to make partner.
yeah. Exactly. Like
what's her name on the door?
Yeah, like at first she's not into it, but then she's like, you know what? Yeah, I want partner. I'll do it. Like if I win this, I get partner. Like
Yeah.
And then originally the diocese, the archdiocese, where the priest was, Father Moore, they just wanted it settled. They did not want it to go to court because it'd be bad publicity. They didn't want an exorcist, creeping up in the papers and headlines. So, and she wanted to settle it too, because they thought this would be the best way,
Yep. And we learned quickly that he that's not going to happen. He's not doing it.
Yep.
Because the priest says, that's what Emily Rose needs her story told. So I need to testify.
Right.
Not only am I not taking the deal, I will be testifying.
Yeah.
And her boss made it clear, like, okay, you can go to trial, but he will not take the stand. And at first she's like, okay, like,
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That will win the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how she won the last one. It was like, oh, had I put him on, on the stand, like you never would have won.
Quick side note question, because I was thinking this during it. It's very clear that this is a Catholic priest and a Catholic religion that's happening. But are there many other Christian religions that do exorcisms?
No. It's predominantly in the Catholic Church. It has been from the very beginning, probably going all the way back to we think the 3rd century. And then the Episcopal Church, which has closer ties to the Catholic Church, we do it, but it's not nearly as common. And I think the Orthodox tradition does some kind of things with, but it's not an exorcism per se. It's just the casting away of evil spirits.
Okay.
So yeah, and other religions talk about evil. There's the deity, or there's the good, and there's the evil that oppose that. But by far the most widely known and practiced is the Catholic Church of having someone come in, identify the evil spirit, the demons, and try to cast them out.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, because in the trial, like we jump into the trial and we get the idea very clearly that the other side is trying to make it that like this was medical neglect and damage. Like this has nothing to do with the supernatural, the devil. Like it is 100% that she had a medical condition and they ignored that. And that's what ended up killing her. And then the other side is trying to say, well, no, actually it was evil. Like this was the devil, which is
that's kind of where they end up landing.
Like, because really that you don't get that a lot in court. I don't think so.
It reminds me kind of like Miracle on 34th Street.
Yes, I thought of the same thing. Laura.
Where kind of the same.
They're like, well, we're just gonna say Santa's real.
Yes. I was like, oh my
Right.
gosh, they got the inspiration from Miracle on the anniversary. Hands
Oh,
down.
it's true. And a lot of people, I mean, people have different views on what do you call evil when you see someone who does things that are intentionally cruel or hurtful. Even non-religious people might say, "Oh, that's evil. That's just so wrong. It's evil." But again, you don't go to court and say evil is real, and
Right.
that's what I was combating here.
Right. Yeah.
So it's cool the way that they handle it, because like we see some of the court happenings interwoven with like flashbacks of how like it started. It was just kind of, at first she was just a little like she wasn't sleeping and she was upset and something was because she had a boyfriend that her family didn't want her to have, so she didn't tell her family about him, but he's in the movie very much like alongside with the family now. And so like it's interesting because we get both back and forth of like what was happening and how it devolved.
Yeah. And I kind of like how they do it too, where it's a combo of either showing Erin researching or interviewing people to kind of build her case, and then we get little clips of Emily's story, or them interviewing witnesses like on the stand and stuff. Because like the first thing she does is talk to Emily's mom. And I just bring this up because there's all these cats.
Oh my gosh, yes, the cats.
I loved it. I think
I think they're
11.
like they're from the beginning. Yeah.
I was like, I think there's 11.
And this one gave me a jump scare. Some cat pops up when she's like first talking to the mom, and that gave me a jump scare.
We were dog sitting while watching this movie, and the dogs did not like the cats on the screen. Like immediately,
they knew they were evil cats. You know?
No.
I'm trying to think. Like it, they get a doctor on the stand.
Yeah, so I feel like at the beginning of the movie, it's very much so leaning towards the prosecution.
Yes,
the defense is looking a little weak because I feel like the doctors are kind of explaining like, oh, she had epilepsy,
and then she had psychosis,
to
her epilepsy,
and it was like, and we gave her the medicine you have to take for a while before it actually starts having an effect. So it's too like it's very much so leaning towards the prosecution. I think at the beginning.
But like while it's leaning toward the prosecution, we're also getting like these like clearly like Emily and her family are pretty like strict and sheltered and conservative. But then you're thinking, okay, well then their beliefs are maybe just they weren't recognizing the science, but they did treat her. Then we're also getting these like the lawyer who she describes herself as agnostic. She starts her clock like starts stopping, and she starts waking up at 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Is there a biblical tie to 3 a.m.?
Yeah, there is. And the priest mentions it briefly. It's believed that on Good Friday, the day that Jesus died, he died at 3 a.m.
Okay.
3 in the afternoon.
True.
Yes, it is. So the day of Jesus passing from this earthly life into death, that's the pivotal moment. And one of the Gospels describes an earthquake happening at that time. In the temple in Jerusalem, there's this huge curtain that separates the Holy of Holies, the holiest place for Jewish religion, the holiest place on earth. And it's separated from everything else by this huge curtain. And it said when Jesus died at that moment, would have been 3 p.m, the curtain of the temple tore. And so even the earth kind of responded to this huge momentous event. And so the priest said, that so that happened at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. when that happened. So the priest even mentions then 3 a.m. is kind of mocking that, where, it's the demonic hour, where if God was known at 3 p.m.,
then the devil
will be known at 3 a.m. So that's when the devil shows up, the exact opposite.
Okay. Because we see that in so many movies.
So many. Yeah. Okay, I swear we watched a movie where like they said the witching hour was like 4 a.m. or something. Where it was like, no. This is
Yes.
was it like right?
They
There
gave
was,
it such
there
a
was a
random
movie.
time.
Yeah.
midnight or something.
Why are
Yeah.
you doing that? Like,
No, it is 3 a.m.
and every other
Biblical.
movie respects that. Like,
Yes.
And
I
it's
know.
Trinitarian, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So you got the
Oh,
three
that's
going on.
true.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
true.
See, I'm curious because I feel like in so many movies, a lot of times you have to suspend your knowledge of reality
Yeah.
or like your area of expertise. So for example, like sometimes when they're talking about psych, like that makes no sense, or like, you know, the actual legal proceedings might not be accurate, or in other ones like the medical stuff that goes on would like
Oh,
be
yeah.
impossible.
Right.
But it's interesting to get a perspective from the religious
Mhm.
expert.
For sure.
Did they get it right?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of this does, as far as I know, it looks like what a process of an exorcism happens,
Mm.
and the priest, in this case Father Moore, he said, I got permission from the archbishop, because you have to, because the church takes this so seriously. A priest just doesn't show up on his own and say, hey, I'll tackle the devil. You consult with a bishop, and often in the Catholic Church, there's priests that are specially trained in this, like in the movie The Exorcist.
Mhm.
So a lot seemed pretty right on with in how an exorcism might work, might unfold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we in the flashbacks that we see at first, it's her still at school, and it just is increasingly getting worse. And like some of these scenes are amazing, like the one where she's on her bedroom floor and she
Mhm.
just is like contorted
Oh my
in
gosh.
such a way.
Mhm.
And like, I don't know all of the details, but I remember that like a lot of it is just the actress. That like
Yes.
part of why she
Mhm.
got it was because of what she could do. Because like they had all of these ideas of how to like generate it,
Mm.
and they didn't have to use it because she could do it.
Yeah.
She must do yoga.
Oh yeah,
Right?
she was hitting the back bends, like doing
Yeah,
all
she's got a good wheel.
all the poses.
But
It's more real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But it very quickly gets to the point where, the boyfriend calls the family and they're like, just bring her home. And at this point, the priest is like, go off of the medication, because he is believing two things. It's not doing anything for you. Like it's not
Mhm.
changing anything that's happening. And I believe it's blocking the possible connection we could have to get in there and get the demon out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's a big thing for the prosecution, is that like he made her stop taking her meds, and that's what they're trying to like get him for.
Yeah.
But by
We
the
should
time
also-
she gets home, like, holy cow, it's she's in rough shape.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and speaking of that, we should also talk about kind of how they open up the trial too, is they show this picture of her, just like this beautiful, healthy, sweet looking girl. And then they show her death photo where her face is just contorted and bruised. And like it
Mhm.
is so disturbing.
Yeah. And they're like holding it up like to each person on the
Yes,
jury.
and then just
Yes.
putting it out on a easel.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then I just thought about her poor family who's been through so
know.
much. And then they're just having to like, I would hope they would not be looking at that, but
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
just be awful.
And the effect was, obviously for the prosecution, they show that to the jury, and your gut reaction is whoever is responsible for this change and the death of this young woman, that they've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
They have to be guilty.
And it is interesting because like we do see from the beginning, like her family and the boyfriend are sitting on his side of the court. Like they
Like
are
on the defense.
and
Mhm.
they are in support of him.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
they're fully like, no, this isn't what happened. Like he didn't do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also like in the flashbacks early on, they show both the boyfriend who witnessed what she was going through, and the family too. They, and they showed those in those flashback scenes. They showed what happened, so you can see where the family is saying, "No, this isn't just medication or withdrawn from medication. There's something else going on here.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a little bit of hope, the defense, when all of a sudden a new witness comes forward.
Yeah.
It turns out that there was a doctor present during the exorcism, but they wanted to like protect him. So the priest had agreed
the
to
priest
not
didn't
name
say.
him. Yeah. And he has the tape recording
Mm-hmm.
of the exorcism and what happened that night. So we
I do-
get a little hope there.
I do love too how the defense attorney Aaron and Father Moore, right?
Yeah.
How they do not agree on most things.
Right.
Mhm.
Like they respect each other, but they don't agree. Like he tries to warn her. He's like, things are dark. Things are surrounding this trial. You better be careful. And even though
Yeah.
she starts like smelling the toast and like waking up and spooky things are happening, she doesn't buy in. But then also she tells him like, you have to tell me everything if I'm going to actually defend you. But
Mhm.
he made this commitment to the doctor that was present that he wouldn't break confidentiality.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if it was a detriment to his case. So I just love how they like they
No,
handle
I
that.
agree. And
Yeah.
I love how like we really are seeing both sides so valid. Like it
Yeah.
isn't that you're like, oh my God, the prosecution is so wrong. The defense, like they're both so like understandable and believable that like as the audience, you're like, I don't know. Because then at one point she got this expert person who's very
like an
very
anthropologist.
educated, like
Yeah.
right?
educated and
Yeah.
has like all the goods to back it up. And she's like, no, actually the Gambitrol locked her in the
Yeah.
medication locked her in to
Mhm.
this state. And it actually ended up hurting her chance for exorcism.
Yeah.
And
I do wish we could have gotten more from her, honestly. I
Yes.
feel like
Oh
when
my
she was on,
Yes.
like, her intro was so, like, it was like, oh, she's like Harvard educated. Like, I forget what Ivy League she went to, but like,
Cambridge and all this
Cambridge
stuff. Yeah.
educated and did all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, yes, here's the start. And then on the actual stand, I was like, no, ask way more questions.
I know.
Mhm.
And her voice,
Yes.
oh my God, her accent and just the like timbre of her voice. I'm like, I could listen to her talk for a very long time.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I was like, talk more.
Any movie that actress is in, I will watch because it's like butter.
And the way she moves her hands when she's talking,
Yes.
you're so invested, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and I like how she brought in kind of a global and historic perspective, which anthropology is,
Mhm.
kind of saying, hey, cultures throughout the world, throughout history, they deal with evil. They deal with how to deal with it, how to battle it. And I thought that was, and we moderns want to dismiss that, and the prosecution wants to dismiss that. And, sometimes we think that we're smarter than anyone's ever been in the history of the world. It's like, actually, there's a lot of wisdom that people have accumulated over thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Mhm.
No, I loved her perspective.
Yeah.
Well,
just saying this, it's not all just the pharmaceutical medication.
Right.
There's something much deeper that people have been dealing with forever,
Mhm.
and it's cool because that's actually something that we talk about on this podcast a lot, especially in regards to like Laura and psychology, is like there are so many movies that we can watch back and be like, this was the mental illness that was happening. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to be like, this was schizophrenia, not a ghost.
Yeah.
But we also talk about like, but what if it actually is?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
And those are the movies that are good. The ones where like it's like you could go either way,
Mhm.
shit,
Mhm.
what if it really is? Like, and this movie,
It's like one of the best TV shows of all time, Friends. There's this debate
I've heard of it.
between Ross and Phoebe.
Yes.
And Ross is always like, science is the only answer, but it's the modern view of science.
Yeah.
And Phoebe brings up that I think what is it? That she like doesn't believe in evolution.
Yeah, she doesn't, or gravity.
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 Yeah.
But
I think they're
which
talking about
normally-
evolution in this scene though.
Yes. So normally it seems like that is absolutely absurd and ridiculous, and we all laugh about it, right? But then the way she brings it up, she's like, okay, didn't scientists used to believe the earth is flat and that, or that maybe like gravity wasn't a thing? And she brings up all these things that then science has disproven. But she was like, but didn't a long time ago, the top scientists in the field think this thing that now is disproven was correct? So then she goes, don't you think there's the tiniest chance that you could possibly be wrong? And then she gets this guy who's like 100% science all the time. He's like, well, maybe.
Yes.
And then she goes, oh, I can't believe you caved so quickly.
Yes. But it's a really good scene, actually, because it's like science now thinks all these things, but there's so much that medicine and science does not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 And I mean, court, it's like you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Like that is the
burden.
limit that you're trying to you have the burden of being beyond reasonable doubt. And it's like, yeah, well, hey, isn't there a chance that maybe it was one or more demons,
Yep.
Right. And like science, you think of like quantum physics and what was always considered to be solid objects, where science said, actually, the atoms are so small and the space is so significant that what we perceive as and feel as solid, it's actually much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And there's things in science that the scientists will say we don't fully understand it.
Yep.
There's still room to learn, and because and it may be surprising what we learn.
Yeah.
Right.
And medicine's the same way.
Well, and just trying to, like, you can't like
Prove
really
it.
prove something is true. Like, you can prove things aren't true, really,
Right.
but like that's a lot more complicated.
Well, and that's why it's interesting, because like when the doctor comes in, Aaron meets with him separately, and he's basically like, yeah, I have the recording, and also I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, like, she did not have epilepsy and she was not in psychosis.
Right.
Like,
Well,
easy done. Like,
and they had said too, like, her specific thing that they testified, the prosecution testified that she had was psychotic epileptic disorder, which led to an epilepsy with violent psychosis.
right.
Yeah.
And the
Which is
doctor's
very-
like, no.
A very specific thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. We're good.
I liked how the lawyer, though, Aaron, at one point, when the one doctor for the prosecution rattles that off, she said, isn't this basically a term that you coined? Isn't this something that you kind of made up,
Because it is.
which is brilliant,
I was like, I love that.
Well, and she then also brings up the fact that Emily did not want it. She thought that it was harming her and not helping her. And it just goes to show the absolute blindness that some of the prosecution's witnesses had to the patient
yes,
and the family, in that he said that if she was his patient, he would have tranquilized her, force-fed her the medication, and done electric convulsive therapy.
Yeah.
So he says that, like, basically what she wants doesn't matter.
Didn't matter. Yeah, that was really telling.
Yeah.
Because I think we do. We begin to realize, like, it's not even that they're trying to prove that evil exists and this was for sure what was happening, but it's more that, like, this is what they all wanted. Like, her and her family and her friends and her church and her doctors, like, this is what they wanted.
Yeah.
So it's so, like, convoluted because there's a lot at stake here, and there's a lot of, like, different reasons behind what's happening. So it's like, it's not a cut and dry. And then
I think it was after, like, that doctor had testified that then they decide they're not just going to try to invalidate the prosecution, like say that she didn't have seizures, she didn't, have psychosis. They're going to try to validate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because again, they're losing.
She was possessed.
That she was
so they got to
possessed.
change strategy at this point.
Right, because
they need to do
they're
something
not,
else.
Yeah, they're
Bring
not
in
just
all
gonna
the
disprove
children's
the other
letters.
side.
Yes, bringing all the children's letters to Santa Claus.
Right.
Like, we're going to show.
Give the judge the dollar bill.
So good.
But yeah, then
we're
he's
also
supposed to be in court and he didn't show up. And she's like, well, shit, okay.
Yes.
And so Erin, the lawyer, is pissed. And so she's leaving. And who does she see in the parking lot outside
that
of
was
the courthouse? But the doctor. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I can't testify. Why does he say?
he talks about how like the forces or like the darkness around this case is
Yeah,
so
he's like,
powerful.
they're keeping me from it.
Like,
I'm not,
he-
I can't.
Like he saw the power that they have or something.
Right.
Like they're I think that's
yeah.
And
why he
that's
chose
when he
not
then
to.
gives her the tape that he's like, okay, but like you take this tape, we recorded the whole thing to like have it be valid. And then she witnesses him get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very violent death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently originally he was going to have a heart attack. Like that was the original thing, but they wanted something more dramatic.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they decided to go with the car.
Mm-hmm.
That was dramatic.
Yeah.
And then that night she's in bed sleeping and the tape recorder starts.
Mm-hmm.
And at first she doesn't realize that's it because she's just woken with this like unbelievably terrifying sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because the tape recorder was playing and it sounds horrific.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's just screams. Like it
Bad.
is.
It's so upsetting. The sounds.
Yeah.
But then we kind of just get into what happened.
Well, speaking of things being upsetting, right before we do have that scene with the doctor, just because this scene we have to talk about it. We do get one more flash before the actual night of Emily's death. There was another scene, a flashback of her experiencing like the possession, where like her sister goes up into the room and Emily is crouched down and she's saying a prayer. So it almost seems like maybe this was still Emily herself trying to fight off the demon.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
But like she's crouched down and she's crunching and eating these spiders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when
That's so
she turns,
Yes.
she does this like silent scream in her sister's direction with her mouth just full of a spider. And like she doesn't actually scream at first, but it's so horrifying.
It is.
Mm-hmm. But then she starts like going crazy and
She like does this like odd jump, like humans can't jump that
like
way.
a frog. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Like a frog.
And then I think she's saying, is this? Oh yeah. So she's like scratching at the wall. Oh yes. The scene of her actual fingernails on the wall.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then she's like pulling out her own hair and then she's speaking in tongues.
She starts pulling out her hair.
And counting. Yeah. She counts to 6 a lot.
Yes.
Says, I am the one who dwells within.
Yes.
Okay, she counts to 6 a lot. I don't know if you know this, Father.
Yes.
But why? What does 666 symbolize? Is it to do with the 3?
Oh, wait, that's
no,
is 6 evil?
No, what it is in the book of Revelation, which is kind of this very imaginative end of the world, the kind of a cosmic portrayal of good against evil. It says the mark of the beast, Satan, the devil, is 666. Okay. So, and that goes all the way back to the New Testament time, back to the first century. So the 666 is identified as the number of evil, the number of Satan. And that's you'll see that in movies that depict devil worship or other things with evil. That's really common.
Oh yeah.
It was on The Omen.
Yeah, The Omen.
Yeah, exactly. So and then we find out later she names the 6 demons that dwell in her. So that's that was also part of that in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's not that 6 is an inherently evil number, but it
666.
is. Yeah, but 666 is seen as that. And also, like in the Bible theology, 7 is seen as completeness, and in some ways a holy number. The earth was created. The myth goes, the story goes, in 7 days, and there's 7 days of our week ever since. And so heaven is kind of seen as a union of heaven and earth. Christians would later say, like, there's the 4 points of the compass, the 4 corners of the globe, so to speak. and you tie that with the Trinitarian God, then you get 4 and 3, that's 7. So that's a completeness. So 6 is less than that. It's not complete. It's something not quite right. So that 666 became associated with evil.
Interesting.
For time.
So yeah, I didn't know
There's
that.
also the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
Oh, that's
Get all
true.
the
Yes.
sins.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, yes.
Yin and the yang.
Yes. So yeah, at this point we go to the exorcism, and this is done differently because it's like a solid flashback. It's not clips. Like we see
Yes.
what happens.
Mhm.
Which is kind of cool because like we're taken out of the courtroom and just into that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's wild. I don't even like
Well,
Yeah.
and we start to see it because they start to play the tape of the recording
Yes.
while Father Moore is testifying.
yes.
Yeah.
So he's
Thank
like
you, yes.
explaining, okay, this is what happened.
Mhm.
And it's sad because originally that audio was supposed to come from the doctor who said, like, look, I'll testify. She was lucid at the time of her death. She was lucid. She knew what was happening. We get what goes down.
And it's also the exorcist brought a doctor in, and not just to record it, but to say medically, if something is going on here, you intervene. You
Yes.
keep an eye
Yeah.
on her.
Mhm.
So that would also have been a strong case for the defense.
Yes.
Mhm.
The priest just wasn't some lone actor here.
Right.
He wanted the medical thing to be considered as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So they have it as like, you know, the dad, the doctor, the priest, and Emily, and maybe the boyfriend. I can't remember if he was there.
I think the boyfriend was down with the mom.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Waiting.
Oh, and it's Halloween night.
Oh, it's Halloween
we
night.
did learn that. Mhm.
And the priest does say, because like there is significance that like this is a more open night with the spirits. Like
Yeah, which is kind of
You know?
interesting because I feel like you wouldn't want to do it on Halloween. That would just, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I know. Because I think they do talk about how like Emily was blocked, and part of that was the medication.
Yeah.
Part of that was like, so maybe they were like, we need all the help we can get.
Right.
So they're like, let's just do it.
I just feel like Hallows Eve is like, it's not on your side, you know?
But she's in rough shape. She hasn't been eating because like early on, she mentioned that like they wouldn't let her eat. So
she's
she's
hungry all the time.
totally malnourished, dehydrated. Her body is just like wrecked because the hair and the nails and the whole, and she kind of just throws herself around. So she's bruised everywhere. Like, and they try, and there's some cool, like, I'm assuming it's Latin that they're speaking. Like Latin exchange.
There's some German.
There's also some German.
Oh, that's right. There was
There's
German.
Latin. There's some other ones because they talk about it.
Yeah.
Like in her religious.
But I feel like the one that like they were conversing in was Latin because he was talking back to her or to them, I guess.
Yeah.
You should say, like, to the spirits.
You know, I had to take Latin for 2 years.
Really?
I don't know why that was a thing in New York. The school that we were at was like, you know what, you're all going to learn. You're going to have to take a second language
for the spiritual
but you're going to have
warfare.
to learn Latin.
Has to be Latin.
The only one I remember was like the names, like Flavia.
Yeah.
And of course, this was, 6th grade, so we all laughed at the name Sextus. Was a name.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sextus.
Like, that's what I remember of it.
So you learned a lot.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
But it doesn't work, and she breaks free of these very pathetic restraints. I was like,
oh my gosh,
They
they're
were, like,
using
scarves.
ties?
Like, yeah.
Well, but she's so malnourished and like frail. She shouldn't.
The
have been
devil
able to
is
break
in,
them.
you know?
Exactly.
But then I love this because she just like beelines it to the window, and she's in the second floor. She just runs out the window.
Crazy. And like you just see the group downstairs. Okay, I forget if it's the boyfriend or the sister. One of them like sees her after she's jumped off the second story window and goes upstairs to be like, hey guys, she's outside. It's like, yeah, like they didn't notice. Like
Yeah.
And they go into the barn, and it's just so chaotic because the horses are all like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, you get like all the there are snakes, there are mice, the horses, all the animals are there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like all of nature recognizes there's something crazy going on. This isn't just chemical imbalance or the wrong medication. This is serious.
Well, and we talk about that all the time on this show. If a dog or a cat, like if the animals know something is up,
Trust them.
trust them. Except for this is my one beef with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
At one point during the exorcism, I think it's right after she eats herself out of the window, like the cats then start attacking the priest. So like the cats became a little.
They were like her minions.
Yeah, but it was like, it was her minion. Like it felt like she was commanding them. Like,
Okay,
which I appreciated.
I'll allow it.
Cats are like that. They'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
Yeah,
Yeah.
those cats were
They
just
would.
waiting.
They would. That's
The
true.
scene in the barn is so, because the whole time, or at least at the beginning, like I feel like during exorcisms, the priests always say like, say your name, like who are you?
Yeah.
Right.
Who is the demon? And like he keeps asking, and like she just starts saying names, like names. There's more than one, and it's like, oh, okay, yes, name. What are your names?
Names.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that she is screaming, howling, growling. In fact, I listen to, or I watch things with subtitles on because I'm an old lady.
Same.
But the subtitles for this called it an unearthly howl.
Nice.
Oh,
When she was
that's
screaming.
accurate.
And I just thought, does that actress's voice, like, was it just done for months after
I
this
bet.
movie?
Gosh,
Because
right?
how can you even get your voice to do that?
Yeah.
And her body, because like
And her
Yeah.
body.
Oh my heavens.
No,
went
yeah.
through it.
Yeah, she baths, tea,
Right.
all of this.
And like while we're seeing this, then you're seeing the priest on the stand, again, explaining, telling a story. And the way he gets so emotional, he was like, she just kept getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were doing everything we could, and she just kept getting worse.
Yeah. It wasn't neglect at all. They were doing everything they could.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there were a couple things in the prosecution after that scene that I kind of had issue with. One is he said, well, didn't she take German?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why she knew German. And then even Aramaic. Aramaic is
Aramaic.
that's what Jesus spoke. It was common at the time of Jesus. It's a small number of people speak Aramaic today, and then scholars study it, and they said, well, didn't she learn Aramaic in the catechism school? No, you don't take
Don't fluently
you don't
learn.
take a half year course.
No.
You'd have to study Aramaic
I thought the same thing.
No, yeah.
incredibly intensely.
Can confirm. Grew up Catholic. Did all the got confirmed. Took all the class. I have never learned any Aramaic.
No one learns Aramaic. I mean,
Right.
I have a master's of divinity, and I didn't learn Aramaic.
I know.
The other thing is the prosecution says, these two voices at once.
Yes.
Well, there's people that do that.
I wanted to ask you about this.
Yes, he misrepresents it. So he talks about even like in Tibetan Buddhism, sometimes the priests, the practitioners, they'll do this vocal technique, and basically it's singing one note, but then an overtone note or an undertone note is created, and so two separate musical notes are sung, but it's not two separate voices. They never sing they don't speak in two languages.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if you on a piano, if you strike this note and then an octave higher strike that note. The vocal cords can be made to do that, and so it's called a vocal growl. Brianna, the one guy at the Gampa.
Yes, that's what I thought of.
Do that, and so you produce a note like oh, but then you growl and it makes an undertone oh, and it produces a lower note, so it sounds like you're singing two notes.
Yeah.
So when he talked about the second set of vocal cords, it's actually just a manipulation of your one set of vocal cords that produces two notes, but not you.
It's not like a note on the guitar and a note
separate.
on the piano.
Yeah, or like speaking in Latin and German at the same
And at the same time, yeah.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
So that is a musician, I thought that's not right. And there are some, they're called Tuvan throat singers. You can look it up on YouTube. Some of those guys can even do three notes.
Wow.
out of their
That's
one
crazy.
throat.
Like, that's
It's
crazy.
amazing. But it's all done at the same time, synchronized notes, not separate voices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The defense should have caught that.
Yes.
Should have.
But yes,
Should have called them out.
listeners, look up Tuvan throat singers. They're
Okay.
like in the area of Mongolia and stuff. It's really fascinating
Cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not evil.
Right.
And it's
Doesn't
not
have to be evil.
But yeah, sadly, it doesn't work. And she succumbs to the
The exorcism
trauma.
Yeah, the all 6 demons.
Right.
Mhm.
I think after this testifying happened, then basically Erin, the lawyer, is like, she's screwed, like, because
Yeah.
it seems, because that's when then like the doctor won't show, and so their case is just over. So she's gonna get fired.
Yeah.
And she had found out at the bar, she was watching TV, that the guy that she got off so victoriously killed 2 people.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it like
She's
blew
feeling rough
that
about
up.
her.
So like she is
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
So
I wish we would have gotten like 5 more seconds of who that guy was. Like, just
I
like the really, like, what did she defend him?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like just like a 5-second news.
I know.
Give
Agreed.
me the like weirdly timed news story, but for what he did.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
her
totally.
boss just like rails her and he's like, yeah, you're
Oh.
done. Do not. He is like, if you put this man back on the stand, you're out. You're done.
Because
Like,
they didn't want him on the stand in the first place. So they're like,
Right.
what do you like again? No.
but then they talk and he gives her something
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, I need to talk about this on the stand.
Yeah.
And so the next day we're in court and the judge says, like, do you have anything else? And you can see her boss behind her.
Oh.
And she's like, yeah, he's going to take the stand again. And the boss just walks out. Like, he just leaves.
Yeah. I'm done.
And he gets on the stand and he talks about how, like, the morning of the exorcism, like, she was completely there.
Yeah.
Like, she had like been very thoughtful. Like, she was having a lot of like deep thought and prayer about what to do.
And that's when the doctor had been there and
Right.
left. Like,
Yeah.
And he mentions that she did experience stigmata,
Mm.
but the prosecution quickly points out that there was a barbed wire fence with her blood on it,
Mhm.
where she could have created those wounds. So it's hard because you're voting for the defense, and then you're kind of like, oh well, shit. That probably was actually just the barbed wire. Like, so it makes it really hard because you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. And I did read somewhere that I don't think they told the actors and the jury which way it was going to go.
Oh.
So that way, like,
Oh.
while
And then
they
they
were
pulled
filming.
them.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. They like pulled them before they knew and they were split
Yep.
on which way they would have
Wow.
sided with.
Oh, interesting.
Because I feel like that would have affected like how they,
Looked.
looked
Yeah.
when things were happening. But yeah.
Yeah.
they intentionally didn't tell them.
Wow. Interesting.
Well, and when we see kind of that scene with the stigmata and we kind of see what happened before this exorcism goes down, I love the question because I feel like this is something that happens in humans all the time, especially humans that either believe in God or that maybe don't believe in God and are looking for some sort of a justification as to why not. Is like, if there's this loving God, why would they allow bad things to happen? Like, why would they allow, children to die or suffer or like big acts of evil? And so the lawyer asks the priest, she said, well, why did God allow Emily, who was just this like devout Catholic, why did he allow her to become possessed and die?
Yeah. And is this where the prosecutor tries to be like,
Yeah.
oh, objection
Yeah.
for silliness?
Oh yeah, objection for silliness.
And the judge is like, shut up.
What?
Shut up.
Shut up. Stop that.
Yeah.
Because then it's like a really beautiful scene because he's like, well, I'll let Emily tell you. Like,
Yeah.
and she had written a letter and that was what he reads on the stand.
Yep.
And we see it from her perspective. She's in the field and it's freezing and healthy, real Emily like steps outside of her current state that's gone
Mhm.
and is kind of like deciding what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we learned that she could like God gave her a choice, or the angel. It was the angel Mary or somebody.
I think it was the
I
Virgin.
think it
Yeah,
was.
Virgin Mary.
Mhm.
yeah, the Virgin Mary who
Yeah.
gave her choice.
They didn't like show her or
No.
hear her or anything, but I think that's who they said.
We
it
just
was.
knew that was what was
Yeah.
happening. Right.
Mhm. But yeah, so basically she gives Emily the choice. She says, "Look, I will end your suffering right now. You can come with me. You're going to go to heaven. All will be good." She said, "Or you could stay and you could try to fight it, or you could suffer, like basically like knowing like you will die." When she said the demons are staying,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that I think she confirmed
This is done.
they are
Right.
they are staying there. But if you stay and fight it, it will be a story that will get people talking about God.
Yeah.
And basically like martyrdom. You know, like she will be martyred if she does this. Like
Yeah. So and a couple of things where, the priest is asked, why would God allow this to happen? And that's a question that every religion addresses, and it most can't fully answer it. Why do good things happen to bad, or why do bad things happen to good people or any people? Earthquakes, tornadoes, cancer that afflict someone when they're 20. I mean, so all religions try at least they explore that question. And so that was, and that's just not just Christian denominations, that's Buddhism, Hinduism. I mean, karma is a way to explain why do these bad things happen, because, something must have happened to cause this.
right.
So that was the priest's take on that, Emily was given this, and this opportunity that your life could be like a martyr. It could be a witness for the faith. And that's also part of the Christian tradition, and certainly part of the Roman Catholic tradition, is that early Christians would witness their faith even when facing persecution, and they would die or suffer rather than renounce their faith. So it kind of cast Emily in that light, when she has this conversation, and here's Mary speaking to her, like, well, your life can be a witness, but you're going to suffer from it.
Yeah.
And there's this strand of Christianity saying, well, if I'm suffering, though, because this is what God is asking, and ultimately it can be for God's good, I'll suffer. If that's what it's about, I'll suffer. And then also in the Christian faith, knowing that Jesus suffered prior to his death. And so some Christians in their walk, they may also have to suffer before they die. So that also really ties into especially Catholic thinking, but Christian thinking in general. And that's the whole idea of being a martyr, And then the stigmata too, that she somehow participated in the same kind of suffering that Jesus participated in. And it's believed the Apostle Paul, he talks about having the marks in his flesh. Some people think that refers to the stigmata. St. Francis witnesses that his last few days, he had the stigmata. So it's a way of saying, they're participating in what Jesus was participating in,
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so, and then that kind of elevates her story beyond just this single
courtroom.
person. Yeah, the courtroom that Emily had an idea she was part of something bigger, the church tradition, participated in the suffering of Jesus in her own way. And so, so I thought that diary was actually, really moving scene to see this is what Emily experienced, even in her suffering, when she was really lucid. This is what she could see.
Yeah, I agree. And that's it. She chooses to stay, and we see that, and we're there back in the courtroom, and that's how her story ends. And then the jury makes their decision.
Well, and I did like
closing argument for the defense?
Yes, I did. I did too.
Where she
Yes.
just kept talking about, because she was even, letting them know, like, do I know that Emily was possessed? Is it a fact? No. But is it possible?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And like just all these things about the case, like, is it a fact this happened or is it possible? And it really does like get you into thinking about that reasonable doubt. It's like,
Exactly.
is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Can I really sit there and say I'm the expert, like as a juror on God and the
Right.
devil, and say like it's impossible that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess not.
Yeah.
And we get the verdict, and he is found guilty, which just the immediate like, that
Yeah.
everyone feels.
How could they do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the judge says you'll be sentenced, yada yada. But apparently he had asked at the beginning, like, if I'm found guilty, I would like to have immediate sentencing.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, the foreman of the jury is like, oh, we have a recommendation.
Yeah.
And the prosecutor tries to like object, and she's like, sit down. Like, what do you mean object? Get out of
literally
here.
stop.
Like, and they recommend that he get time served.
Yeah.
And the judge accepts it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he was guilty, but I just feel like though he was found guilty, not of just like neglect, but he was found guilty of negligent homicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you just like a couple months was his time served. I don't know. I feel like find him guilty or don't.
Well, and I will say there was a tiny little thing in the movie that I really appreciated, because movies are terrible about timelines.
Mm-hmm.
Where at one point when she was working on the case, the TV was on in the background, and it referenced how long ago the Van Hopper trial had been.
Okay.
And it had been like over a year.
Okay.
So like I did like that they made it clear that like he's probably been in jail for like almost a year at this point.
Or at least months.
Because like, that's how long trial. They don't instantly just come and go. But I know.
Well, and in the true story that this was based off of, that is basically what happens is they are found guilty, but it was actually on the prosecution side. They always said they did not want to send anyone to jail because they prosecuted not just the priest, but her family as well.
Oh, wow.
So it was her family and the priest that were the defendants. And so they were like, the family has suffered enough.
Yeah.
And same kind of with the priest.
Yeah.
So if found guilty, there's really no intention of them going to jail from the very, very beginning. So the real life case that this is based off of had kind of the same result, which is guilty, but no additional jail time.
Yeah, what would that serve?
Right.
Yeah, they suffered enough.
Right.
Yeah.
They're in their own mental jail for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then they like kind of take it as a win. So now, Erin's boss is all like, you're great. And
yay,
you're wonderful. But she's like, you suck.
Yeah.
And then so then her and the priest are kind of like, sure, we kind of won, I guess. But really our lives are now forever changed.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of have to just figure out a way to move on.
Yeah.
It's like again, it's like a happy, not happy. Like you kind of trying to figure out which way. Nobody won.
Nobody won.
And I kind of like that just the way the story was told in the movie is as the viewer, you kind of see yourself in that jury position. What would I vote? Now I've heard compelling testimony, facts, and belief, and seen the story of Emily, but where would I vote?
Yep.
And then when the verdict comes down, so where am I with that? Is there reasonable doubt? Because what can be proven, what can't be proven, what's a possibility, what's not a possibility. No, I like how it's told that way.
I need forensic evidence of the tape recorder. I need to know if it's been tampered with. I need more.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like Santa Claus,
Gotta
we're left with these big questions.
Going with faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then we see Father Moore and Aaron at the graveside of Emily.
Yeah.
At the very
It's
end.
like the final scene.
And what she has decided to have written on her gravestone is work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Which, man,
Oh, I love it.
what a heavy.
I love that she's like, who picked that?
Dark. I love it.
Yeah. So she picked it. She wanted it.
The good one.
And that's a line from Scripture where Paul tells people, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Yeah, which is interesting because there's other times we're told to be very joyful and full of faith. But at the same time, it's kind of, but this could get real serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for Emily, it did.
Damn.
And then like the end credits go, but it talks about kind of like the aftermath of what happened.
Yeah.
So, like Emily kind of does become a saint. I forget what else.
It's like
Father
someone
Moore
wrote
went
a
into
book.
seclusion.
Yeah.
Like he went into seclusion and never practiced again.
Yeah.
And she like did something. I don't remember.
But that's when it does say like that it was inspired by a true story.
Right.
So I snuck a little bit and was like, is that true?
Yeah, no, I feel like when you got that, I was like, oh, okay, yes. So this must have been based off of so it is, I can give you kind of the quick summary. It happened in Germany and her name was Anneliese Michel in like 1969 to like early 1970s ish. So like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not when like you would expect, I guess, like an exorcism to be
Right, like
the
the 1600s, right?
Yeah, no, it was like, oh, like the 70s.
Yeah.
Is when this happened. But again, and from what I saw from the director, it's like it is loosely based on that story. Like their intention was not to tell her story,
right?
Because it's very different from what actually happened. So it was similar in that Anneliese started kind of experiencing things like maybe epilepsy or seizures, things like that in her teens. And then she did get like some psychiatric care, kind of developed a history of epilepsy. And then she did get treatment. But that treatment in the movie, I think they're like, oh, it's been 2 months or something. So the medication needed time to kick in.
Right.
Whereas like in her real life, I think it was closer to like 4 to 5 years of medical care.
Wow.
Taking the medication, trying to do that, and like nothing, it just wasn't working. So after 4 to 5 years, not a couple months, her family decided to call in their local priest who thought maybe it was time to do an exorcism.
Yeah.
So the priest went, he determined that she was possessed. And so the priest went to the bishop. The bishop appointed another priest to carry out the exorcism. So there were 2 priests involved. And they did, I think by the end of her life, like 70 exorcisms.
Wow.
So it wasn't one.
Holy cow.
Like it was kind of like the final year of her life was getting exorcisms and trying to do this other sort of treatment for it. But she did eventually pass away from malnourishment and dehydration. And at the end of her life, she weighed 68 pounds.
Oh my God.
So like she was so malnourished by the end of it. And so the state decided like, yeah, we need to try them for whatever they did in the movie. So like they did go to trial. It was the priests and the family all together. But from the beginning, they were like, we don't want jail time, but we think that they should be tried for what happened. So, yeah. That was kind of her actual story, which is crazy.
That's really sad.
Yeah. And there are so many like videos and stuff like online, like breaking down the story a lot more. I watched so many of them. But
it's because it's fascinaking. It really is.
Yeah. Well, and again, when something goes to trial, it's like, okay, so there's records, like it's like you can read like this happened.
There's evidence.
There's evidence. There's someone
deep dive.
noted that. Yeah.
I know.
Like I'm sure someone could find and like translate the court transcripts. And
I'm sure.
Like that,
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. What a movie.
Yeah.
I realized we didn't officially talk about what we were sipping on.
Oh my gosh, we didn't.
You're right, we didn't, and we've been
Yeah.
sipping this whole time.
Yes. So I am defense attorney, had wine, and I thought to have some wine, it's biblical. Jesus turned water into wine.
Good man.
Really, wine's the only alcoholic beverage mentioned in the Bible. And so I chose Rosé, and then
Nice.
Laura pointed out Emily Rose.
Yes.
Oh.
So that's
Oh my
what I'm
gosh,
sipping
yes.
on for the
Oh.
podcast.
Wait, no, we're switching to Rose. Emily
I know,
Rose.
right?
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
perfect.
If it
Yeah.
had it taken place in France, for example.
Well, right, exactly. I love it.
I didn't get the memo about the rosé, and I just saw the red wine, and so that I'm happy.
Yeah, that's an easy pick for us.
Yeah.
Here on Spooky Sips, we love our wine.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually what we do when we have a guest, because really we've had a variety of guests, all with like different backgrounds, different expertise, if any. But
Some just for fun.
yeah, I'll cut that out. Sorry, guys. If you've been a guest, I
we're not.
I wasn't talking about you.
Guests.
You don't know which one they're talking about.
We had like 3 guests.
But I feel like it was like when we had Jaden, for instance, we knew we had a good expert on our hands that could talk about the science behind the movie. Like, and I feel like it's the same with this. Like, we have a priest, we have to optimize this moment, you know?
Yep.
So take it away, Father Trace.
Okay. So exorcism in the Christian church, it really goes all the way back to Jesus. The New Testament, which are the Christian scriptures, that part of the Bible, there's 4 gospels, and the gospels basically talk about what Jesus did and what it meant. Not just the facts, but what was the meaning of his life, and to really look at it in terms of big and theological terms, in terms of life and our relationship with God and all that. But the Gospels describe the ministry of Jesus, and Jesus did basically just a few things. He would teach. That was a big part of his teaching and preaching. And he'd talk about how we're supposed to love one another, love God, basically be inclusive. And Jesus reached out to those who were hurting, who were sick, who were poor, who were outcast. So that teaching was a huge part of what Jesus did. And he called that the kingdom of God, which is not heaven. It's how we're supposed to live now, how God would want us to live now. So anyway, so the teaching was a big part of Jesus. Healing was a huge part of his ministry. And there's so many stories where he healed women who had diseases, lepers, those who were blind, those who were deaf. And then the third part, which doesn't get as much attention nowadays, is casting out demons. And from the beginning, that was a big part of Jesus' ministry. In fact, in one of the Gospels, the Gospel of Mark, which was the first gospel written, Jesus' kind of first major act is he goes into a synagogue, a Jewish synagogue, and there's a person there with an unclean spirit, and Jesus casts out the spirit. And the spirit, this man's possessed with the spirit, immediately recognizes what Jesus has going on, and says, "Leave me alone." And Jesus casts out the demon. So you see that throughout Jesus' ministry, and so this casting out of demons, scholars, in more recent times, they see demons was probably a way to talk about when people had an illness that you couldn't readily see. I mean, so blindness, deafness, leprosy, you could see that. But then what about people who had a severe mental illness, or, they couldn't do CAT scans. They didn't have diagnostic tools. They didn't have psychology. So it was often attributed to this person has a demon. So, for example, there's a story where there's a boy, and the father comes to Jesus and he says, "My son, he sometimes moves involuntarily. He can't control his movement. Sometimes his jaw will lock and he starts drooling at the mouth. and he has a demon. So, and sometimes this demon will like try to throw him into a fire. So now, if we saw that today, would say, oh, he's probably has epilepsy.
Yeah.
Uh, and so Jesus cast this demon out of this child. Um, so, which is really interesting because in Emily Rose, you get one side saying, "Oh, it's epilepsy," and the other side say, "No, it's a demon." And back in Jesus' day, again, you couldn't diagnose epilepsy back then, so it looked like this person has a demon that's controlling them, and taking over their body. And then there's another case where this movie made me think of Jesus goes with his disciples and they cross the Sea of Galilee, and there's a graveyard, and there's this man who's possessed. He has demons, and he runs around. He can no longer live in the village. People have tried to bind him with chains, but he tears off the chains. So he runs around, and so even symbolically, it's interesting because this man, everything in his life is around death, and he lives in a graveyard. He can't associate with other people, and then Jesus comes to him, and like you see in Exorcism movie, Jesus says, "What is your name?" And the man's response is Legion. He says, "My name is Legion because we are many." In other words, I got all these demons hanging out here, and that's why I'm such a mess. So it was back then. It was seen that these people, the people weren't bad, but they were possessed by an evil spirit, by something demonic. So in that story with the crazy man in the graveyard, so Jesus is going to cast these spirits out. He ends up, they don't want to just go cast away into nothingness. So there's a nearby herd of pigs, of swine, and Jesus casts the demons into this herd of swine. And then the swine all run off the cliff and fall into the sea. Which I know, the poor piggies. What did they do?
There are some brutal biblical moments.
There's some, yes. But the story, whether you look at it factually or symbolically, it's, if you even look at it symbolically, this man was carrying around demons with that kind of power, that kind of destructive power, and I always thought, that the disciples witnessing this, seeing the demons going into the pigs and a whole herd of pigs being destroyed. And thinking that guy was carrying that much. I mean, that was going on in him.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting because, like with Emily Rose, they tried to bind her and she broke free. And then the priest kept saying, "Tell me your name, tell me your name." And she comes up with 6 names. It's not just one demon. She's got a whole legion of demons in her. And in the biblical story, that Jesus is able to cast the demons out, and then he's fine. And he's in his right mind, and he's calm. Question. Yeah, so he's calm, and he's at the feet of Jesus and in his right mind. He's back to being himself. That was actually a big part of Jesus' ministry. And then when he sent his disciples out to do ministry, he would always ask them to do the same things he did. Go teach, about the love of God, heal people, and cast out demons. And so, as the church continued, the church in Jesus' name, Christianity, you still get this where people are carrying some illnesses that we can't quite discern. So for a long time, they were called demons. And then eventually over time, like today, and in recent years, we still believe in medicine and use medicine, but then these demons, it's not necessarily a demon of epilepsy or depression or mental illness, but now it's like, oh, there's an actual demon in this person, and the church is going to focus on that because it's causing harm and destruction. So it's become kind of over time, a very specialized ministry of the church.
Interesting.
And that's been part of the church for, going all the way back to the 3rd century, but especially over the last 1,200 years, this ministry, not real common, but this ministry of exorcism. So it's not like all Catholic priests do exorcisms. It's pretty uncommon, but it makes for a good story. I mean, it's dramatic. And so, and then it's also, it raises kind of the big questions of, kind of on a cosmic scale, good versus evil, God versus the devil, that wants to destroy a person and that which wants to give life to a person. So the Catholic Church over time, they developed particular prayers and rites to cast out the demons. You'll see, like in this movie or in The Exorcist, you'll get a priest who studies it so they can kind of learn, okay, here's what I'm going to say. Here are the prayers I'm going to use. Here's the ritual I'm going to use. I'll use holy waters. I'll wear a stole. I'll this particular ritual to confront and cast out this demon. And
I would like to point out that when you started talking about casting out demons, I immediately sneezed and have since become very congested.
Well.
The demon of asthma.
Yes.
Oh no, something's going on.
The demon of allergies.
Yes, the demon of allergies.
You said Jesus, cast out demons, immediate sneeze.
Yeah.
And there goes one of them right now. Boom.
It's like I have absolutely no business knowing any of it, but like I would be so curious what the study and training is like for these Catholic priests that do specialize in the exorcism. Like what that looks like.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I've read it like in different texts, like the practice of exorcism, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll appeal to Jesus, and they'll appeal to Michael the archangel, this powerful warrior angel that I'm pretty sure Father Moore mentioned him too a time or two. So they, like I said, there's the kind of pre-made prayers and rites and casting out, but then it would take a priest to also have this sense of strength that they can go into battle with these deadly destructive forces,
Because I thought of a couple of questions. One would be, so you talked about the guy who was like having the name of the person, like what did you say,
Legion. Yeah, which just means many,
And that cured him. But what about the story, the boy that had the symptoms that were kind of epileptic in nature? Is there any mention of, did he get better with Jesus's exorcism?
Oh, yes. Okay. And Jesus cast out the demon and the boy was calm and he was healed. Yeah. So, I talked about Jesus healing people, and sometimes it was just a direct healing. He'd say, you're healed, you're no longer paralyzed, you're no longer blind. But the casting out of demons also, it always leads to healing.
Okay.
So anyone where Jesus cast out a demon, and he was always successful. He could always cast out the demons, and it always leads to their healing.
Okay.
Because Jesus is seen as the ultimate authority over everything, including the devil and the destructive forces.
I think
part of like,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, part of like, okay, we can get into this in a little bit, but like talking about which side do you go with? But part of me is playing, for lack of a better word, devil's advocate on this one. When I'm thinking of that story of the man who felt that he was Legion and was having all these problems, and one of the things that can be a really great psychological tool, and probably was not known at the time, is just that validating of that person's experience, which everyone else is telling him, you're wrong, you're crazy, that's not true, or you're evil or whatever. Just being like, okay, well, tell me tell me what you're going through. And just having that relief of someone
Yeah.
being like, oh, they believe that this thing I'm experiencing that no one else can experience because probably I have schizophrenia, like they're believing
Yeah.
me. And then that
Mhm.
like can let them be more at peace and let their symptoms kind of be less destructive. So
Yes.
that's like my psych perspective on it, is that there could be some other explanations.
Yeah.
But the epileptic one, I'm less, I have less of an explanation for that.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think that's what's so interesting, like from my perspective, it does bring up, because I was thinking of how people say, oh, I have my own demons. Like
Right.
that's something
Oh,
people
yeah.
today still
Yeah.
say, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's so interesting because it is like, I know personally, like I have both physical and mental demons that I wish could be cast out of me. Holy shit, that would solve a lot of my problems.
Yeah.
But that's different than a demonic possession. And
Right.
so it's interesting because it's like, I think it's touching on both, but really those are two very different things. But there's no just tangible proof to throw in there to help you understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then
And it's
maybe,
like, yeah.
yeah, maybe in Jesus's time there were people that had epilepsy and had schizophrenia, and maybe his work on them did not cure them.
Right.
We only hear about the ones
That worked.
that worked.
Yeah. Who
because
knows
they
how
were
many there
actual
actually
possessions.
were?
Because
There's
he
no
was,
medical
he was-
records.
He was Jesus.
The Bible isn't
Christ's
that
sake.
big.
Yes. So no, but you're no,
Bias.
but you're right, and I think they are different things. Where and I think initially it was kind of conflated. If you're dealing with what looks like an evil possession, this man at the graveyard, or epilepsy, or something else. If someone's suffering from something that we can't explain, we can't look at, with empirical evidence, we call it a demon. Where after a while, I think that the ministry of exorcism became just for the evil stuff. If you're depressed, go see a therapist, take medicine if you need to. But if you're possessed, that's okay. Now we'll call in the exorcism. So it did kind of split off into this very specialized ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because another thing that happened in this movie is they talked about, at one point they were talking about the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which
Yes,
I
I've
bust out all the time.
Yes, because it was for the priest, because he was
Yes.
like, oh, have you read the Bible? And he's like, well, yeah. And he was like, well, now have you read the DSM?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they talk about they're like, isn't that commonly referred to as the Bible of psychiatry? Which I don't feel like
I
I've
have
heard people
never
talk about
heard
it that way. It's more like the dictionary, I guess.
Right.
But,
Yeah, and you would know.
The prosecution was they were just making it up.
They were
Right?
just a grumpy, okay?
But I
We're in a
do
bad
want to
mood.
point out, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, okay, so yeah, the experts, quote unquote experts in the field, say that is, that's what they go by. That's what they use. But we are currently on the DSM-5. There are
Oh my
things
gosh.
that were in the original DSM that absolutely experts in the field would never say is a psychological, pathological issue anymore. So just because it's quote unquote science right now
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's going to stay
It's
that
like
way.
Phoebe. It could change.
And it exactly
small chance.
it doesn't mean that the first ones were wrong. Like
Right.
we've talked about this so many times. Like it used to
Yes.
be like women had like, I don't know,
Hysteria.
period pain and they're hysterical.
Yes.
Like
They're just
But at the
hysterical.
time, that was genuinely what they believed. Like,
but sometimes people are just full of shit.
They are. And I'm thinking there was, in the Middle Ages and following that, sometimes in the there was something called acedia, ACEDIA, which was called the noonday devil or the noonday demon, and it's when people would in the middle of their day they lacked energy, they just felt like they couldn't do things, they couldn't get motivated, they couldn't do things, and it was called the noonday devil.
I
But
get
it was
that.
probably,
Yeah,
I know who doesn't. Some
There's a
days
name
where,
for that. Yeah.
yeah, where we think I need coffee right now. Again, it might just be depression or just feeling overwhelmed. But even that was described as having this noonday devil that would come and knock you down in the middle of the day.
There's a
So
reason why siestas are a thing. It's
Right.
because
Yeah,
that's a normal.
it's a normal
Yes.
thing.
fighting those demons.
Yes. Yeah. So our understanding on these things really does change. And I do think a lot, as you pointed out, Laura, though, was people being able to express what they're going through and having someone understanding listen to them.
Mhm.
I remember reading years ago that, like, in the 13th, 14th century, the order of Franciscans, one of their big ministries to people that they became very popular was hearing confession. And because people found it so healing. But you think at the time, you didn't have a therapist, you didn't even have regular medical doctors that you could go to. And if you were dealing with struggles, probably you had to keep them to yourself. But you'd go meet this religious person. Confidentiality is absolute.
Right.
So you could say something that you're dealing with, knowing it is safe with this person. And just to have them say, "Oh, I hear you. I understand. You know what? You're forgiven. God loves you. God forgives you. Now go on your way." That could be really, really healing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like in psychology, that unconditional positive regard that you have for your client. And to be totally honest, I think probably some of the best therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists just listen.
Yeah.
And in some ways it seems like, okay, well, how am I then the expert? I'm not doing anything. I'm just listening to a person. But there is something to that.
Knowing how to listen.
Yeah.
Knowing how to
Yeah.
listen and validate and hear
Validate. Yep.
unjudgmentally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
And,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think that the stories from the gospel, we read them and it takes a minute and a half to read them. And I think, but in all practicality, it was probably Jesus spending a couple hours with this person, the afternoon with the guy, listening to him, not being afraid of him, just validating what he was going through. It wasn't just a quick formula and now you're healed. It was probably, a lot of it, I imagine, was just being and getting to know that person.
Yeah.
And
Jesus was a
validating
counselor.
who they are, which is like counseling,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was probably part of it.
And I think something that we didn't really touch on, but like it just comes to my mind, is that, like, with the movie being the way that it was with the court, like it forces different perspectives. Like, even the prosecutor, it was very important that he be a religious man.
Yeah. At the beginning, they're like, we need to assign it to, like, if we have a Catholic, okay,
Exactly.
no.
I think he was like
closest.
Methodist or something. Like,
Right.
and so, but I thought that was so interesting that they were like, we need it to be a man of God that is condemning this man of God to have validity. Like,
Right.
and I think it was just an interesting touch on it because there were all these different an agnostic, a religious man. Like they threw a lot of different things in there for the conversation to like
for
keep
the
it.
anthropologist.
Exactly.
Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
just different beliefs around the world. Oh, so good.
So interesting.
Oh, and I do know again, after the real story of Annalise, the bishop, and I don't know if this is like everywhere, but at least the bishop that had assigned the priest for that one, from that day forward, if there is an exorcism, there is a medical doctor present as well.
Oh, cool.
So they do send a priest and a doctor.
Nice. That's a good idea.
So,
Yes.
so you get both of them there.
And I think, I'd mentioned earlier, the story, I liked how it was told because you didn't have to kind of choose between just, am I a religious person who believes in a demonic possession or just a scientist? It's something bigger than that. What do you believe? What do you think is possible? And that raises the whole thing with, good versus bad, or that builds up and that tears down. And in an exorcism or healing, it's basically that, where how can we bring healing to this situation, and are there forces, whatever they are, medical, demonic, whatever, that seek to harm us. You don't need to, in different times of history, we've tried to label them differently. Is it a demon? It is someone's childhood was so terrible, so they turned out evil or bad, or but it's a matter of trying to deal with that basic good, bad, light, dark, life, death kind of thing. And there's, religion tries to deal with that, and even, non-religious people, they still try to do with that. I mean, like with your therapy, you see what's tragic, what's sad, where they're suffering, but how can we make a difference to move it in the other direction? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not whether it what's right or wrong.
Right, real or not.
How can someone's life get better?
Yep.
That's really what matters, I think.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And then we talk about that. Yeah. And then for our own self, how do we deal with whatever demons or struggles we're dealing with? And what resources do we have to bring us healing and strength? And, for the Catholic priest, it was an exorcism. For, the doctor, they approach it different ways with the therapist. But it's kind of all dealing with the one big question,
Yeah. Wow.
Fascinating.
I have one more theological question that's just been gnawing at the back of my mind. And since we have an expert here, did Jesus have a last name?
No.
Was it like Jesus Smith?
Of Nazareth?
Yeah. So back then,
is that a last name?
No. Back then, typically just one name would be given.
Oh, okay.
Like Madonna.
Yeah. And so
Cher.
then they would be identified as the daughter of or the son of.
Okay.
And in Aramaic or in Hebrew, the word for son of is bar. So like a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah. So Jesus probably would have been known as Jesus bar Joseph, Jesus, son of Joseph.
But he's not son of Joseph.
Well, earthly father, however, and that's a whole other topic.
He might not be biological, but
so for example, and there's one of the disciples early on. He's called Simon Bar Jonah. His father was Jonah. So
it's like The Handmaid's Tale.
Well, and that's how they do it in Iceland still to this day.
Still
Their
to this
last
day,
names
right?
Are like John daughter or John son or whatever. Like it's like the son or the daughter of the person.
Yeah,
that's just how they do it.
Yeah, and in Iceland, because I've read some Icelandic novels, and it's still that way.
Yeah.
They don't give last names. You're known as, or daughter, son of someone, or daughter of someone.
Yeah.
So that's what it was in Jesus' day.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Or they may be sometimes identified with where they came from. So Jesus from the town of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
But Jesus Bar Joseph.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Not just the last part.
Now you know.
So we kind of talked about this episode. We weren't going to do a psych segment because we were going to do our theology segment instead. But I do have a question to propose to this panel.
Yes.
Ready.
For a little psych. So I'm curious, if you were on the jury, what verdict would you give? Now, here's what I want to preface this with. You don't get to see the movie like we saw it. You get to hear the evidence. You get to hear the arguments. You do not get to watch the movie like we did with Emily. Right. You just have to hear and see the experts and the witness.
See, and that's hard to detangle because like that last scene, I guess they would have only gotten the audio.
Yeah.
Boy, that's tough because also visually, some of those scenes of her contorted body where she's eating the bugs and she looks possessed.
Right. But that's just the boyfriend saying that's how she looked.
Right. Or the sister or the priest.
I would say not guilty.
Okay. I'm going to reserve mine.
I feel like especially having the family on that side, they sat behind the defense. They testified, right? Or at least one of them?
Yeah.
Maybe? The dad? or the mom, like one of them testified.
I think the dad did.
Yeah. So like, I feel like, especially hearing their side of it, like I feel like there's enough to be like not beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
You know, so
well,
I agree.
I mean, I think also part of it is like, this is an elderly priest who has had no other notes in his file, so to say, his entire career.
Yeah.
Also, like, I feel like when they talk to the doctors, I feel like the defense, like they did kind of a good job of saying like, well, how do you know that's the diagnosis? Right. Where it's like, okay, well, it could have been this. And it's like, and it probably was this. And it's like, okay, but like that's not matter of fact.
Right.
You did not diagnose.
Right.
Yeah. So I think there was enough to cast out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting because with negligent homicide, it clearly wasn't intentional.
Right.
The family called in the priest. The priest wanted to do good, wanted to help her. But also him bringing in the doctor to me said, no, he wasn't being negligent. He was really trying to say, I even want to pay attention medically to what's going on. So
it doesn't seem like negligence.
Yeah, it didn't seem like negligent homicide. I don't know, but you're right. Just hearing the case in court, and I can see, especially if someone who wasn't religious or if they'd had a bad experience with religion, they'd probably say, oh, we need to keep you religious nuts out of the situation.
And I think for me, like the biggest point was, and we talked about this in Midsummer, that we've all seen it, so we now know, spoiler alert, that they kill their elderly at a certain age. And one of the people makes the point, but you putting them in a nursing home is evil. So why is ours different?
Yeah.
And I think when the doctor made the statement that like he would have forced her into like forced hospitalization, I think she would have been in that comatose stage for the rest of her days.
Maybe.
And so like, why is this approach not feasible? Why is it so looked down on when is that really a better option?
Yeah. And I think
not necessarily.
Like, I think another part of it too is like, whether you believe it or not, they have the freedom to do. I don't know the laws in Germany. We have freedom of religion, you know, like it's like they have the freedom to believe that.
Yes.
And if they believed that was the right move because of their beliefs and their, like, if they thought they were taking the appropriate steps, she has the right to decline medical care.
Right.
You know, like I think that's part of it too, is like, it doesn't really matter if you believe. It's like they have the right to do that.
Yeah. And I was thinking, you know, what if you get a, there's certain religions here in our country where they don't, I think like Jehovah's Witnesses, they're very strict about not allowing blood transfusions, certain medical things. So what if the pastor or a leader of a congregation told a family, it is against God's law for your daughter, your son to have these medical procedures done, and they die.
Exactly.
So is that pastor responsible in part for their death?
Or is the entire religion?
I'm more favorable towards a priest who accepts medical than a Jehovah's Witnesses who said no hospital procedures. You know, so but if the religious beliefs if they don't help a person,
well, and it all comes back to informed consent and ability to. So. I'll be the cheese that stands alone on this one.
Alone cheese.
The more I have thought about it, and I also have to say, it has always been my dream to be a juror.
Oh, I got jury duty and they canceled it. I was looking forward to the day. It was on my calendar. I told everyone. I sent my jury notice to everyone. I've been so excited. They canceled it.
I got called once, and it was the week I was moving from Oregon to New York. So I was like, well, I can't go. I'm moving. And so they excused it. And then I got another one, and it was for this summer. And they were like, you're a prospective juror. Tell us when you can't go. And so like I was like, I'm available. Pick me. They didn't
Anytime.
pick me. They didn't pick me. I got 5 days left of June where they said I might be picked, and watch they pick me when I'm out of town next like, this weekend.
Yeah.
But I wonder if maybe they have access to this podcast, or like there's probably a reason why I'm not going to get picked.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's so many reasons why you could be excluded as a juror. You know, both sides are looking for different people.
Yeah.
And anything about your history. So when they're asking those questions where it's like, because they usually do, you know, a series of questions where it's like, you know, even like, oh, do you have a family member that's a police officer? Because that might make you biased towards what the police is reporting.
Or
you know, it's like, or a priest.
Right.
Or, you know,
or let me listen to an episode of your podcast.
Right.
But I have to say, without getting the emotions of watching the scenes, and I'm always the one where I'm like, I can see a reasonable doubt. I watched some true crime series about very famous events, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I get why they found him not guilty.
Yeah.
I have to say, in this one, I'd go guilty.
Interesting.
Not enough doubt.
Because I think the doctor wasn't there at the moment of death. And so they could have stopped it and gotten a doctor at the moment of death. Because the doctor, it was like, she was lucid when I was there, and then I got scared, or I forget why he left.
Yeah, I think something like that.
And it was also this prolonged thing. And if Emily was a very prolonged, lucid adult that was making this choice, like say, for example, it was that she had some incurable illness that was not mentally affecting her, but physically, and her religious belief said, no, I need to die.
Right.
Like, I believe people should be able to, like, I believe like euthanasia should be like a thing for people that want it, but she was a woman who, if she was going through these moments of not being herself, of being psychotic, of having this psychosis where she's harming herself, I don't think she could have made that choice. So I think I would have found him guilty
of negligent homicide.
Here's why I would have found the family guilty and not the priest. Because if
the family made the decision.
If he had walked in there and said no and left, they would have A, found someone else to do it, or B, dealt with it themselves. So like, I don't know that it would have been different if he hadn't existed in that situation. I think it would have played out the same way if it had been someone else.
Maybe he could have reported him. I don't know.
No, it's.
Ooh.
The other thing is, I think I think there's a reason why the Exorcist movie or this one, they're fascinating because they're also frightening, because it's frightening to think, what if a normal person like Emily, like the little girl in The Exorcist, or someone like me, all of a sudden something afflicts me and I'm no longer in possession of myself. I'm crazy, you know? And I mean, that's the fear of, you know, good Lord, I don't ever want to get dementia, Alzheimer's, or a demon possession, because I don't really understand it. And if it takes over me and my brain, what's going to happen to me?
Yes.
So they're truly, movies like this are really frightening, because you think, oh my gosh, I don't want a demon or some crazy illness to hit my brain.
Right. Yes. And to Brianna's point, I'm not saying that Emily dying rather than having to live and suffer in this, like, you know, catatonic brain dead state or whatever, just being gorked out, like with all these drugs. I'm not saying that's better or worse.
Right.
And that's not what she chose. But legally, in the time and place that this movie was set, I think they have a legal case.
What a good movie that, like, there's just literally, I think we could probably talk for like 3.5 more hours. Like, there's so much. Like, I love, it's funny. We talk about it on the podcast is that sometimes we like don't love the movie we watched, but then by the time that we've talked through it, we all feel very differently about the movie because the conversation has just been like, so good.
If we gave our ratings at the beginning instead of the end, I think we
should try that one time because it'd be so different. Like
we should.
But if you want to continue the conversation, just go to All Saints Episcopal Church in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah.
That's right. But I can't promise I'll be preaching on exorcism.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
That's not on the normal.
All the persons would be like, oh
not the normal Sunday conversation, but you can talk to me about it at another time.
All right. Well, Ivette, do you have any lingering fun facts for us? I feel like we covered so many.
Yeah, I feel like we talked. I think my main background was like based on a true story, but yeah, I kind of figured we would have enough other stuff to
I just thought
about.
It was so interesting, like that the actress was able to do so much of this.
Yeah.
And I just love that, like, apparently her audition was very short because she like went in there and did the backwards silent scream thing where she was contorted and they were like, sold, done. Like,
it's yours.
We're done here. Which I love. I know.
Oh yeah, because we almost always talk about like, had we seen this movie before, which we forgot to do.
Oh yeah.
But in getting to that, yes, I have seen this movie before, and I've seen it. I think maybe this is maybe my third time seeing it. But the very first time I saw it, just those images of her big pupilled eyes and the bends and like the face she made, those literally haunted me for like weeks.
Yes.
I know.
First time I
that's
saw
why when it's like, okay, where would you side with the jury? It's like, it's so hard to be like, now imagine not seeing any of that. Because it's like, no, those are locked in.
Because all they have is the picture of the death. That's all they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw this like when it came out.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. And then I've seen it a lot because it's like the movie where if I'm hanging out with someone that's like, I don't know what to watch, I'm like, I know what we should watch and I recommend this.
Good one.
So I've actually probably seen it a lot because I make everyone in my life watch it with me.
Honestly, that is kind of a good, if you listen to this because you don't want to watch the scary movie, so you just hear a breakdown, this might be a good one to consider because it doesn't have much gore. Like there's not much like blood or things like that. Like we do get her like crazy contortions and stuff like that, but like it's not I would say like it's not actually that scary either.
No, it's
like
haunting.
Yeah. It's like it is kind of haunting, and there's some scenes that are, a little like spooky, but like if you aren't like a huge fan of like super scary
this is a good
horror,
one.
this might be a good one.
I agree.
Especially if you like legal dramas and like court style movies.
Right.
Dun dun.
Yeah, this was my first time seeing. I'd never seen this movie. I hadn't even heard of this movie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Like I feel like I just like missed this one.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Well, it was 20 years ago when you're a baby.
Well,
so.
right. Okay, so Trace, what we do is we do ratings, but we do out of 5 and we do out of sips, not stars.
Okay.
So out of 5 sips, 5 being the highest, how many do you give this movie?
I would give it 4.5 sips. Yeah, 4 to 4.5. Because 5 I would reserve for masterpiece movies, but this was very, very good.
I agree. I'm a 4.5 because like it's such a solid one that like has held up over the years, and I still love watching again and again. Like this is one of my like desert island ones, I think.
Okay.
I think for me, I really love it, and I like what it makes your brain do. This movie, I like what it kind of forces you to think about. There are some things that I feel like are not really my cup of tea, but I'm giving it a 4.
Nice.
Yep, I was thinking right along the same. Like I really liked it. I love a legal show, legal movie, so I love that part of it. I honestly, I feel like I said before, I wish it would have been like a little bit spookier. I think we could have gotten like a little bit more spooky in there. So I was also thinking a 4.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, it's such a good movie.
Movie.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, and it's definitely a must watch, I think. Like, if you love the genre of horror, even just like suspense, I feel like this is a good one.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm,
for sure.
mhm. Well, Trace, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
My
Thank you so much
pleasure.
for with us.
This was really fun.
Next time on Spooky Sips, we will be watching Skinamarink,
Skidamarink.
which I don't even
I know
know,
nothing about.
you guys. So we're all going to have to watch it.
We're
So if
going
you-
in blind.
We're going in blind here. So if you haven't seen it, get watching, get sipping, and we'll see you next time on Spooky Sips.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Trace.
you.
This was great. Thank
that was
you.
such a good one.
That was
good
such a
one.
good one.
Yeah.
It was
It's such a
fun.
good conversation.
No,
Thank
yeah, I
Yay.
feel like this is definitely one of the better. Just like talking about, like I feel like we didn't even talk about every scene.
No, we
No.
just
As
like
much-
vibed.
I feel like this was like, no,
Vibes.
let's just talk about
I agree.
random
That was
parts of the movie.
amazing.
That was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. All right.
Oh, fun.
All right. We'll
right.
see you later. Thanks, Trace.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at SpookySips_podcast. And if you want to help support the podcast, consider buying us a coffee, or really a cocktail. We are completely independent, so every little bit goes a long way to keeping our podcast running and improving. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.